old sedan across town to pick up his daughter. Leia Ellis is 8 years old with brown hair, pulled into a ponytail and a backpack covered in robot stickers. She bounces out of the elementary school gates with the kind of energy that only children possess, clutching a drawing she made in art class. As she climbs into the passenger seat, she asks the same question she asks every day. "Dad, did you work on your invention last night?" Carter glances at her through the rearview mirror and smiles in a way that tries to hide his exhaustion. "Maybe a little bit, sweetheart." The two of them live in a small rented apartment in a working-class neighborhood where paint peels from window frames and sirens wail at odd hours. The apartment is a single room that serves as living room and bedroom both. In one corner, a card table holds a tangle of old circuit boards, salvaged wires, a laptop with a cracked screen. On the wall above this makeshift workspace hangs a framed photograph. Carter, a woman with kind eyes and dark hair, and Leia as a toddler. Beneath the photo, a handwritten note in faded ink reads, "We'll light up the world someday." The woman in the photograph is Evelyn Ellis. She was Carter's wife, Leia's mother, and the reason Carter still believes in impossible things. Years ago, Carter worked as a mechanical engineer at a clean energy research company. He was good at his job, brilliant even. His designs were efficient and elegant. His understanding of electromagnetic fields and energy conversion unmatched by his peers. Evelyn worked in the same lab as a research assistant, cataloging data and running simulations. They met over a malfunctioning oscilloscope and fell in love over late nights spent debugging equations. They married young and had Leia 2 years later. Life felt full of light. Then came the experiment that shattered everything. The company was testing a new energy reactor, one that promised to revolutionize power generation. Carter had designed parts of the system, but the final assembly was rushed by executives eager to present results to investors. During a high-pressure test, something went catastrophically wrong. The reactor overloaded, alarm screamed. Evelyn was in the observation room adjacent to the test chamber when the explosion tore through the wall. She was killed instantly. In the chaos and grief that followed, the company needed someone to blame. They pointed to Carter's designs, claimed he had made critical errors in the specifications. He was fired, sued in civil court, and his name was smeared across industry publications as the engineer whose negligence cost a life. No one would hire him after that. His credentials became a scarlet letter. He took the only job he could find, janitorial work at Harrington Dynamics, a company that didn't ask too many questions. But even in the wreckage of his old life, Carter held on to one thing, the promise he made to Evelyn. He would create something that mattered. He would build a source of clean, affordable energy that could reach people who needed it most. He would light up the world just as they had dreamed together. Every night, after Leia falls asleep on their pull-out couch, Carter returns to Harrington Dynamics. He parks in the employee lot and uses his janitorial access card to slip back into the building. The corridors are empty now, illuminated only by emergency exit signs. He takes the service elevator down to the basement level to a forgotten maintenance room that was once used for equipment storage. The room is cluttered with broken machines, discarded monitors, tangles of cable that other departments no longer need. This is where Carter works. Over months, he has scavenged parts from the company's refuse capacitors, transformers, microcontrollers with cracked casings, but functional circuits. He has taught himself to solder by the light of a desk lamp. He has written code on his ancient laptop, testing algorithms late into the night, and slowly, painstakingly, he has built something extraordinary. He calls it the Helios core. It sits on a metal workbench in the center of the room, a cylindrical module roughly the size of a basketball, wrapped in copper coils and studded with sensors. When powered on, it glows with a soft blue light, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. The Helios core uses principles of resonant frequency and magnetic flux to generate stable electrical current with almost no energy loss. It is elegant, it is revolutionary, and it is built entirely from garbage that no one else wanted. Carter connects it to a monitoring screen, watching his graphs display steady waveforms. The efficiency ratings are astonishing, far beyond anything currently on the market. If scaled up, the Helios core could power entire neighborhoods for pennies. It could bring electricity to remote villages, to disaster zones, to families who live paycheck to paycheck and dread their utility bills. This is what Evelyn would have wanted. This is the light they promised to create together. But one rainy November night, Carter is not alone. Isabella Harrington, the 32-year-old CEO of Harrington Dynamics, stands in the executive wing long after the building has emptied. Her blonde hair is pulled into a tight bun, and her tailored suit jacket hangs over the back of her chair. She has just left a brutal meeting with the board of directors, including her father, Gregory Harrington, the company's founder and the man whose shadow she has lived in her entire life. The board was not kind. They questioned her leadership, criticized the company's slow progress on new energy initiatives, and compared her unfavorably to her father's legacy. Gregory's voice had been the harshest. "You're not ready to lead this company, Isabella. We need results, not promises." Now Isabella walks through the dimly lit corridors, her heels clicking against polished stone, her mind churning. She needs something big, something that will prove she belongs in the CEO's office, that she is more than Gregory Harrington's daughter. As she passes through a hallway near the building's service levels, she notices a faint glow coming from beneath a door she has never paid attention to before. Blue light flickers in the gap between door and floor. Curious, she approaches. The door is labeled Maintenance Storage B. She pushes it open. Inside, a man in a janitor's uniform is bent over a workbench, his back to her. The room smells of solder and dust. Wires snake across every surface. And in the center of it all is a device that pulses with steady blue light, its glow reflecting off the man's face. On a cracked monitor, data streams in real-time voltage curves, thermal readings, efficiency percentages that make Isabella's breath catch. She studied electrical engineering at Stanford before taking over the family business. She knows what she is looking at. This is not amateur work. This is genius. "What are you doing here this late, mister?" She pauses, realizing she does not know his name. The man startles and spins around. It is Carter Ellis, the janitor who empties her office trash every morning. His eyes go wide. He instinctively moves to block her view of the Helios core. "Sorry, I was just cleaning up some old equipment." Isabella steps closer, her gaze fixed on the glowing device. Janitors don't run test simulations with frequency graphs. Carter hesitates, then lets out a slow breath. "It's just something I've been working on, a small energy prototype." Isabella moves to the workbench, studying the setup. She asks him technical questions, probing his understanding. Carter answers each one with precision and clarity, his explanations revealing years of deep knowledge. He is not just a janitor. He is an engineer, and a brilliant one. At that moment, Carter's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen. A video call from Leia. He answers, and the little girl's face appears. "Dad, are you working on the light again? Is that Mom's project?" Carter smiles softly and tells her he will be home soon. Isabella hears the exchange. She pieces together the story. This invention is not just a project. It is personal. It is a promise. When the call ends, Isabella steps back toward the door, her mind racing. She looks at Carter one last time, then leaves without another word. But as she walks back through the empty building toward the parking garage, her thoughts shift. The blue glow of the Helios core haunts her. She imagines standing before the board, unveiling a revolutionary energy technology, watching her father's skeptical face soften into approval. She imagines headlines calling her a visionary, investors clamoring to buy in, the stock price soaring, and then she thinks about Carter, a janitor, invisible with no credentials, no platform, no voice. Even if he tried to bring this invention to the world, who would listen to him? Who would take him seriously? But I would be taken seriously. She thinks the seed of a terrible idea takes root. The next morning, Carter arrives for his shift to find two security guards waiting for him at the employee entrance. They escort him to a small conference room on the third floor. Inside, Isabella sits at the head of the table, flanked by a corporate lawyer named Archie Coleman and a woman from Human Resources named Amanda. There is no warmth in Isabella's eyes now, only cold calculation. Carter is told to sit. The lawyer opens a folder and slides a document across the table. Mr. Ellis, it has come to our attention that you have been using company property in restricted areas without authorization. Carter's stomach drops. I built everything from scrap. It's mine. Archie taps the document with a pen. According to your employment contract, any invention created on company premises using company equipment, even discarded equipment, is the intellectual property of Harrington Dynamics. Carter looks at Isabella. She does not look away, but neither does she soften. He realizes with sickening clarity that this was planned. You accessed restricted areas, Isabella says, her voice steady. That's grounds for termination. Carter wants to argue, to fight, but he knows he has no power here. He is a janitor facing a CEO, a lawyer, and the entire machinery of a corporation. They offer him a choice. Sign a non-disclosure agreement and accept a small severance package or be fired with cause and risk, a lawsuit for trespassing and theft. He thinks of Leia. He thinks of rent and food and keeping a roof over her head. He signs. Carter leaves the building carrying a cardboard box with a few personal belongings. The sky is overcast and threatening rain. He stands on the sidewalk outside the gleaming tower, feeling the weight of betrayal settle into his bones. That afternoon, Leia runs to him after school, her backpack bouncing. She looks up at his face and sees something wrong. Did they like your invention, Dad? Carter crouches down and pulls her into a hug, hiding his expression. They didn't understand it yet. Sweetheart. They drive home in silence. Inside the apartment, Carter sits at the card table and stares at the empty space where his laptop used to be. Everything is gone, his designs, his prototype, his promise to Evelyn. He has been erased. Meanwhile, Isabella moves quickly. She calls a meeting with Harrington Dynamics top engineers George, Silas, Asterd, Leo. She places Carter's prototype on the conference table and tells them to reverse engineer it. She orders the legal team to file patents under the company's name. Within weeks, the Helios core is transformed into the Helios project, complete with glossy branding and corporate polish. Carter's name is nowhere in the documentation. Isabella prepares for the biggest product launch of her career. 3 months later, Harrington Dynamics hosts a press conference in a downtown convention center. Journalists fill the rows of seats, cameras flash, and a massive screen behind the stage displays the words, Helios lighting up tomorrow. Isabella steps into the spotlight, wearing a sharp white suit. She delivers a speech about innovation and the future of clean energy. A video plays showing animated renderings of Helios power plants. Happy families illuminated by affordable electricity. Children doing homework without fear of blackouts. The audience erupts in applause. Headlines the next day call Isabella a visionary. Investors flood the company with offers. The stock price surges. Gregory Harrington, watching from the front row, nods with something close to approval. Isabella has done it. She has stepped out of her father's shadow. Carter watches the press conference from a cheap diner across town. He and Leia sit in a cracked vinyl booth sharing a plate of fries. The television, mounted on the wall, streams the event live. Carter's hands tighten around his coffee cup as he watches Isabella present his invention to the world. Leia stares at the screen, eyes wide. Dad, that's your design. They're going to help the world. Carter swallows hard and forces a smile. As long as the world gets the light, Layla, it's okay, but his heart is breaking. That night, Leia sits at the card table with a sheet of notebook paper and a box of crayons. She writes in careful, crooked letters, Dear Harrington Dynamics, my dad made the light that you are using. My mom said one day his light would help the world. Please say thank you to him. She decorates the edges of the letter with drawings of stars and light bulbs. The next morning, she walks to the mailbox on the corner and drops the letter inside, trusting that adults will do the right thing. Days pass, weeks. Isabella's assistant, Vivian, sorts through the daily pile of mail, most of it congratulatory letters and partnership proposals. One envelope stands out. It is small, addressed in a child's handwriting, decorated with Stickers. Vivian places it on Isabella's desk. Isabella opens it during a brief moment between meetings. She reads Yela's words, and something inside her cracks. She remembers the night she found Carter in the maintenance room. The way he spoke about his wife, the love in his voice when his daughter called. She folds the letter carefully and places it in her desk drawer. She does not respond. She tells herself she is too busy. But the truth is she is afraid. Afraid to face what she has done. Afraid to admit she stole more than an invention. She stole a daughter's faith in her father. Then the cracks begin to show. The first Helios plant, a pilot facility in Nevada, experiences a power surge that knocks out electricity across 3 counties. Engineers scramble to diagnose the problem. George, the lead engineer, reports back to Isabella with troubling news. There's a resonance issue we don't fully understand. The modifications we made to increase output are causing instability. Isabella pushes for a quiet fix, but the problems multiply. A second plant in Texas overheats and has to be shut down. A third in Oregon reports fluctuating energy output that risks damaging the grid. Internal memos leak to the press. News outlets begin asking questions. Is Helios safe? Stock prices tumble. The board demands answers. Gregory Harrington summons Isabella to his office and closes the door. You rushed this, he says coldly. You didn't do the necessary testing. Fix it or I'll replace you. Isabella attends emergency meetings, pores over technical reports, but she is not the one who designed the Helios core. The engineers try to stabilize the system, but every adjustment creates new problems. They are guessing, improvising, unraveling the elegant work of the one person who truly understood it. Late one night, alone in her office, Isabella opens her desk drawer and finds Leia's letter again. She reads it, and tears blur the words. She has stolen not just an invention, but a child's belief in goodness. She has taken something sacred and turned it into a disaster. She picks up her phone and calls Vivian. Find me an address for Carter Ellis. Anything. Vivian searches old employee records and finds a forwarding address. A small auto repair garage in Oakland. Isabella does not hesitate. She grabs her coat and drives through the rain-slicked streets. The garage is a cramped, oil-stained space with a single lift and a corrugated metal roof that rattles in the wind. Carter lies on a creeper beneath a pickup truck, his hands black with grease. Leia sits nearby on an overturned crate playing with a wind-up robot toy. A sleek black car pulls up outside, and a woman in expensive heels steps out. Carter rolls out from under the truck and looks up. His face hardens. You've taken everything you wanted. What are you here for now? Isabella stands in the doorway, rain dripping from her coat. Her confidence is gone. She looks smaller, vulnerable. I'm here to say I was wrong and to ask for your help. Leia recognizes her from the television. You're the lady who took my dad's light. Isabella crouches down, so she is eye level with the little girl. You're right. I did. I was scared of failing. So, I stole what wasn't mine. She looks at Carter, her voice breaking. Helios is unstable. People could die because we didn't understand your design. Only you can fix it. Carter stands, arms crossed, anger simmering beneath his calm exterior. He has every reason to refuse, to let the system collapse, to let them face the consequences. But then he thinks of Evelyn. He thinks of all the families who might lose power, who might be hurt if the plants explode. Leia tugs on his sleeve. Dad, Mom wouldn't want people to get hurt, right? Carter closes his eyes and exhales slowly. I'll help, but I'm not doing this for your company. I'm doing this for them and for her. He points to a photograph of Evelyn taped to the wall. Isabella nods, relief and shame mingling in her expression. She drives Carter and Leia back to Harrington Dynamics. The control center is a nerve center of panic. Massive screens display a map of Helios plants worldwide, many of them flashing red. Engineers argue over failing containment protocols. George looks up as Carter walks in. Isn't that the janitor? Gregory Harrington, observing from the corner, steps forward angrily. Get him out of here. This is a secure area. Isabella moves between them. He's the one who created Helios. If he leaves, we all go down. Carter does not wait for permission. He strides to the nearest terminal and pulls up the system architecture. Within minutes, he identifies the problem. The engineers modified his original resonance algorithm, trying to boost output. In doing so, they created a cascading feedback loop that destabilizes the core under load. You turned a heart into a ticking bomb, Carter says quietly. The room falls silent. He lays out a plan. Temporarily throttle all Helios plants to safe mode, then deploy a firmware update using his original algorithm. The largest plant is already approaching critical. Carter writes a patch in real time, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Leia watches from a side room, clutching her robot. Come on, Dad. You can do this. Carter uploads the patch through an emergency override channel. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the red indicators on the screen begin to shift yellow, then green. The resonance stabilizes, temperatures drop. The system holds. Engineers around the room exhale in relief. Some clap. George shakes Carter's hand. Gregory stares at him with something like grudging respect. You just saved my life's work. Carter does not smile. I save lives. The rest is up to you. 2 days later, Isabella stands before a packed auditorium of journalists and investors. Her hands tremble as she grips the podium. There are no rehearsed sound bites this time. No polished corporate messaging. She tells the truth. Helios experienced a critical malfunction. The company commercialized a design it did not fully understand, and the technology was never ours to begin with. She gestures to the side of the stage. Carter steps forward, dressed in a simple button-down shirt, visibly uncomfortable under the lights. Isabella introduces him. This is Carter Ellis. He is the true inventor of the Helios core. We took his work without permission, without credit, and nearly destroyed it through our ignorance. The room erupts in noise. Questions shouted. Cameras flashing. Isabella raises her hand. Effective immediately, I am resigning as CEO. Harrington Dynamics will transfer all patents for the Helios core to Mr. Ellis. The company will serve as a partner, not an owner. Reporters turn to Carter. How does it feel to be a janitor turned world-changing inventor? Carter takes a breath. I'm still the same father who wanted to keep a promise to his wife. Titles don't matter. What matters is what we do with the light we're given. Leia watches from backstage on a monitor. Tears streaming down her face, pride shining in her eyes. In the weeks that follow, Carter receives an unexpected offer from the Global Energy Initiative, an international nonprofit. They want to fund the expansion of Helios technology to underserved communities worldwide. The funding comes from an anonymous donor through something called the Aurora Trust. Carter is skeptical, but the offer is legitimate. One afternoon, while reviewing legal documents, Carter notices a name buried in the fine print. Aurora Trust is owned by Isabella Harrington. He finds her at a small cafe, sitting alone with a cup of tea. Why didn't you just walk away? After giving everything back, Isabella looks at him, her expression raw. Because walking away doesn't fix the damage I caused. The world needs Helios in you. This is my way of making sure you never have to choose between rent and your dreams again. She did not want recognition. She did not want press coverage. She wanted only to make things right. Carter sits across from her. Redemption is also a kind of light. Isabella. She smiles faintly. The first genuine smile she has worn in months. Maybe there's hope for me. Yet 6 months later, the Helios Foundation holds its inaugural event in a renovated warehouse in Oakland. The space is filled with community leaders, families from low-income neighborhoods, representatives from schools and hospitals. On the wall behind the stage, a banner reads energy as a right, not a luxury. Carter stands at the podium with Leia beside him. She wears a dress with stars embroidered on it and holds the small wind-up robot she has carried everywhere. Carter speaks about his wife, about promises, about the belief that technology should serve those who need it most. My wife believed that light is only beautiful when it reaches those who live in the dark. Helios Foundation will provide free electricity to schools in underserved areas, to clinics in rural communities, to families who have been left behind. This is not about profit. It's about dignity. The audience rises in applause. Gregory Harrington sits in the front row. No longer the stern patriarch, but a quieter man. He approaches Carter afterward. "You've done something I never could. You turn a company's ego into a foundation for humanity." Nearby, Isabella works with a team of volunteers organizing shipments of equipment. She no longer wears designer suits. Her sleeves are rolled up, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She catches Carter's eye and nods. He nods back. They are not yet friends, but they are something. Two people learning to build with broken pieces. Leia begins attending weekend workshops hosted by the Foundation, teaching younger kids about circuits and renewable energy. She stands in front of a small group holding up a miniature Helios core prototype. "My dad says, being smart doesn't make you better than others. It just means you have more to share." Carter watches from the back of the room, his chest tight with emotion. He realizes that the light he has given the world is not only Helios, but Leia, a girl who will grow up knowing that worth is not measured by titles or paychecks, that kindness and knowledge can coexist, that people who fall can rise again. Over the following months, Carter and Isabella work side by side, traveling to villages in Central America, to island communities in the Pacific, to refugee camps in the Middle East. They bring Helios units, train local technicians, and watch as lights flicker on in places that have lived in darkness. Their relationship evolves quietly. They do not speak of romance, but there is a tenderness in the way Isabella asks Leia about school, in the way Carter makes sure Isabella eats during their long working days. They are building something together, something forged in fire and regret and hope. One evening, after a long day of installations, they return to Harrington Dynamics. The building is quieter now, its aggressive ambition softened into something more purposeful. They take the service elevator down to the basement. The old maintenance room has been preserved, transformed into a small memorial. The workbench where Carter built the first Helios core still sits in the center, surrounded by photographs and notes. On the wall is a plaque that reads, "In this room, a janitor finished his promise." Leia runs ahead, flipping on a switch. A miniature Helios core on the workbench glows with soft blue light, casting shadows that dance across the walls. Isabella picks up a pair of work gloves left on the bench. "Never thought I'd end up cleaning tools for a janitor." Carter laughs. A real laugh, the kind he has not felt in years. "You're not cleaning for a janitor. You're helping a stubborn engineer who finally got lucky." Leia spins around, her face lit by the blue glow. "No, you both got lucky. I did too." The three of them stand together in the small room, surrounded by relics of failure and triumph. Outside, the city hums with life. Across the world, in villages and towns and forgotten corners, lights powered by Helios burn steady and bright. Carter looks at the photograph of Evelyn resting on a shelf. He closes his eyes and whispers words only he can hear. "We did it. The world has the light, and Leia has a future." The blue glow pulses gently like a heartbeat, like a promise kept. The camera pulls back slowly through the doorway up through the levels of the building out into the night sky. Below, the city sprawls in a web of illumination streetlights, windows, headlights on highways, and in neighborhoods where darkness once reigned, new lights flicker on one by one, powered by something built from scraps and sustained by love. He was a janitor in their eyes, but a father, an inventor, and a light bearer in the only eyes that ever mattered.